Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Welcome back. We're here talking with Michelle Shepard about the benefits of offering health nutrition coaching to employees. And today, specifically, we want to be talking about enhancing productivity through nutrition. So it's not just about making people happy. It's about making sure that they are productive and we're meeting all the goals in the organization. Michelle, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Wendy. It's a joy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, in between sessions here, I know JC was making some, jokes here that made us laugh. And you know what, though? Laughter really does make you happy and satisfied. So I love doing this podcast. But what I really love to do even more is make sure that our listeners walk away with productive employees. So talk to us a little bit about how health nutrition coaching can help with that matter.
I really love this. And I think in part because I love the big picture things I do, but some of these changes, after a session or two are instant, right? And so if you walk around your office after lunch, are your employees, are they zombified? Are they staring at their screens with their eyes glazed over? Are they getting that third cup of coffee at 2 p.m.? Or are they energized and productive and getting after it? Because that's a whole second half of the day that we're both paying for and we want to get that really valuable work out of. And things like meal balance, right? So the ratio of the carbs and the protein and the veggies on the plate affect blood sugar and whether you get that nice steady energy, which is actually linked to productivity, cognitive function, decision-making, in the research, or whether you get that big spike, if it's just all bread or all carbs. And we know Wendy and I both love bread, but not alone. And then that big crash, thanks to insulin, and we go into rest, protect, zombie mode, where we see low cognitive function, we see low reaction time, low planning ability, things that we can measure that you probably want your team to be nailing. And so thinking about things like hydration and how we set that up in the office and how we teach our employees to eat without affecting, their choices or being restrictive, instant changes, in that workplace and that energy, which I think is so huge, that you can do from just a couple of sessions with a really good program or a really good practitioner coming to see your clients.
So do you think that with the coaching, should HR and or managers be going through it first?
This is a great question. Oh, Wendy, I actually really love if either HR and management go through first or whether they go through it together. So I think one of the things that I've really loved in some of the groups I've facilitated is when it's been a team thing, because I think you get great buy-in from employees, especially, you're on the ground, frontline employees, when the executive and the leadership and management team are doing it too. One of them had a Slack channel they gave me access to. So we did a weekly health plan and someone nailed their steps, someone went for a hike, someone's diabetes meds came down, and just that community from the top down, as opposed to being, you must attend this lunch and learn, it just changes the energy and the buy-in. If you get that buy-in, you get that ROI that we want out of a wellness program. So I love when they do it together, ideally if they haven't, doing it first, right? Because there is that, you lead by example. Your employees know whether there's, Doritos on the table in leadership meetings or whether you guys are walking the talk and having Doritos and a veggie tray, right? That example really has to be set.
I love it. So HR, whoever's ordering these snacks, and unfortunately usually is HR, but sometimes it's, it might be a receptionist or an admin team, depending on the size of the company. Make sure that you have a variety of options. Maybe people will actually start choosing healthy options if they're there once in a while. I think JC has some stats that he wants to share with us.
Yeah, happy to do so, Wendy. According to the WHO, the World Health Organization, and the APA, American Psychological Association, good nutrition correlates with a 20% increase in national productivity and a 25% higher likelihood of superior job performance, respectively. Research involving 15,000 individuals in the U.S. and the UK indicates that those with poor nutritional balance report an 11% lower productivity compared to healthier peers. Back to you.
Thank you for that. I'm just literally sitting here in my head going, oh boy, do I need to change anything on my grocery list? I think I do a pretty good job, except for the excess amount of wine. But I do love wine, and it is made from fruit. Go ahead, JC.
Yeah. Aldi, believe it or not, I think Aldi's pretty much all throughout the country. They have an alternative to Spam called luncheon meat. It's half the price. It's just half the price. It's still just Spam. Forget it. Back to you.
You're hilarious. Hey, Michelle, I hear from JC, who has done his homework on, as always, for our podcast, that you have some kitchen experiences. That is the reason why you ended up in this field.
I do. So, I mean, I grew up cooking with my mom. She was a great cook and a fun cook. And thankfully, like one of those moms who was like happy to have the kids in the kitchen, even though I'm sure we were an absolute pain in the butt, you know, the mess and the cleaning and the things. But it really gave me a love for food. And I think I also growing up with homemade food being very normalized, right? So, and that's a luxury and a privilege. And I can totally recognize that. But it gave me that like joy for passing that on. And I think one of the ways I pass it on now, because I own a business, I'm a single dog parent, which is not a real child, but my God, he part husky and he requires 2 hours of exercise a day, is being able to kind of translate that joy and that practical piece of cooking at home, which is just going to make it easier to stay healthy, but in a way that works, right? I don't spend 7 hours on a Sunday meal prepping over the stove. That's not my jam. But I do want myself and my clients to find that space for making food in a way that fits and isn't so overwhelming the way the internet often makes it seem. So love the kitchen. And also you can eat healthy if you don't. It is okay. There's a middle ground in there.
Right. Absolutely. The middle ground is what it's all about. It always is. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to episode 4 of our 5-part series on the benefits of offering health and nutrition coaching to employees. And our next episode, our final episode, we're going to cover retention and attraction through a wellness culture. And on a side note, if you're looking for a quick and enlightening way to start your day, consider checking out JC's daily podcast, Interesting Things with JC. It lasts 2 to 3 minutes and is perfect for fitting into your busy work week. And I personally just love it. Check it out on any of the podcast platforms. Just look for Jim Connors. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.